An NBA insider has hinted at two Boston Celtics stars being potentially traded this offseason. That would be absolutely huge and shake up the NBA. And we're going to break down everything that you need to know on that in this episode of Joe Mercer Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Joey Mercer, as always, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who has supported the channel so far. Love to see it grow, obviously, and it's great to have the community that we have here so far in the early going. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And this one's actually from Sports Illustrated from Ryan Stano. Sorry if I mispronounced the name, but this one really caught my attention because two Celtics players being traded when they could potentially win a championship this season is kind of crazy in my opinion. We're going to dive right into that right away. This one right here was titled NBA Insider Hints at Possible Trades Involving Two Celtics Stars. The Celtics have one of the most expensive rosters in the league that has allowed them to assemble perhaps the best starting lineup in the NBA, and I would have to agree. They're pretty three-point heavy, but that worked for the Golden State Warriors, and it's working now for the Boston Celtics. That starting lineup is a big reason why the Celtics were able to win the title last year. They leaned on the depth that they had in the starting lineup to deal with the fact that Kristaps Porzingis was injured for most of the playoffs, which is crazy to think as well. If Kristaps is healthy this year for the Celtics, they could really run through teams and pretty easily slide into the finals and maybe win the championship easily as well. The Western Conference is no joke right now, but the Eastern Conference I do think is weaker, and I could see the Celtics really running through teams easily if that is that Kristaps is healthy and everybody else on the team is healthy as well, of course. Next, it says Porzingis is part of the reason why the roster is so expensive. He's making a lot of money, and a new owner is part of the organization now. Obviously, the team just being sold for a few $billions, and they could look to cut some costs where they just spent so much money purchasing the team and might not seem worth it with Kristaps' injury woes to keep him on the franchise. The Celtics have some tough decisions to make now that Bill Chisholm owns the team. The luxury tax bill is going to be very expensive, so some players might not be back on the team next year. One NBA insider believes that two players are in danger of being traded this offseason to help alleviate that tax bill. Jake Fisher of the Stein Line believes that both Porzingis and Drew Holiday could be names to watch this offseason. And that'd be crazy. Drew Holiday, obviously a major acquisition there for the Boston Celtics, as well as Kristaps Porzingis, of course. But Holiday coming with that championship pedigree from the Milwaukee Bucks after being a crucial piece of their championship team in the 2021 season. And then Kristaps coming from a few rough stints, obviously wasn't on a great team. Besides, the Mavericks had a solid team when he was there until joining the Celtics, and he's been absolutely incredible since joining that team. Really a great rim protector, stretches the floor, scores around the rim, a very important piece of their offense and defense. Also a player that you wouldn't think to be included in trades, but as I mentioned, the injuries could really cause that to happen. In Drew Holiday's case, they could be worried about the age where they'd have to cut somebody. Him and Derek White are cut from the same cloth in some senses. White more three-point heavy on offense, but both are defensive guards, and I could really see them keeping White over Drew Holiday. It says that people around the league believe that it will eventually have to trade someone, the Celtics that is. So Kristaps and Drew Holiday are the names to watch, said Jake Fisher. He said they're going to have to trade some guys at some point, and one team capologist told the Stein Line. So that's really interesting, of course, that the Celtics are still, right now, looking like the contender in the league. They look like the best team. They're the defending championships and still having some issues with money, with the tax. Luxury tax having to pay into that is very interesting to see that affects teams so much. Financially, there's so many other things besides just putting great players together that a lot of people don't really understand, and it's good that we're getting a good look into that right now because trades have more to do with just matching salary as well. It depends on the two teams. One team might be able to take on some more, and another team, like the Celtics, might be trying to avoid paying a hefty luxury tax this offseason. We can see it says Holiday and Porzingis are two of the most expensive guys on the roster who are the least reliable. Porzingis is always hurt, and Holiday has had some injury problems himself. Neither of them are considered part of the core of the team that has to be on the court for them to win a title. As long as they have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown out there together, they feel good about their chances to win a title. Disagree. Jaylen Brown, obviously, and Jason Tatum are the two top guys on the team. But I would not say that if they have two of them out there, they can win the title. I do not think if you had subpar or average NBA role players around those two players that you would be able to win a championship or even make the finals for that matter. It's really the meshing of all players together. Derek White has been crucial. Drew Holiday's defense has been crucial, and Kristaps has also been super important to this team. They've even had older guys like Al Horford really step up come playoff time, and even a little bit in the regular season, even at his advanced age, being very important to this Celtics team. Now, without Al Horford, they could still probably win an NBA championship, but he's a very important piece for them for sure. He helped stop Joel Embiid a few seasons ago, really played great defense on him, even though he's much smaller than Embiid. But then when we look at Kristaps, Drew Holiday, and Derek White that they're not mentioning there as being important, that right there is the reason why this team is so good. They're so deep. They mentioned that at the top, and then talking about this part in the article saying that with those two players they can make the championship, I don't agree with that anymore. The NBA is too deep right now. I think that you need more than just two guys. You need 3, 4, 5 guys that are very good. You definitely need two top guys. That's 100% accurate. But you need other guys that are, all defensive team players or great scorers or great facilitators. You don't just win with two players anymore. It's not the 90s. It's not the 2000s. This is a new NBA, a deeper NBA, and an NBA that really is built on players that know their role, are very good at that one thing, and that's how you get a championship roster in today's NBA, in my opinion. But, of course, just my opinion. It says here, trading these two players makes the most sense if they are trying to cut their expenses. They have to keep Tatum, Brown, and Derek White on the team. Boston might not trade both of these players. They might only trade one. Or, if Chisholm decides that he's okay with playing a hefty tax bill, they could decide to keep them. So far this season, Porzingis is averaging 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists per game rounded, and Holiday is averaging 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. This doesn't really bring into fact how good they are defensively. There's no box score stat that's going to show how good they are. I mean, you could look at blocks or steals, sure, but some players don't put those up, and they're still very good on the defensive end. I think ultimately they should try to keep them. If the luxury tax bill is too high, I understand trying to move on from them, but they would have to at least get one guy in return that could fill the role of, I would say, Porzingis would be the most important one there. Al Horford being so old, not wanting to rely on Luke Cornett at all. Xavier Tillman being a bit on the smaller side. And then you've got Neemias Queta, who can definitely play some minutes off the bench, but you wouldn't want him to start. So they'd have to go get a big in replace for Porzingis at the very least, but we'll see what has to happen there. They could get some great draft assets as well. Maybe they want to try some small ball, get the draft assets just in case something happens with Tatum or Brown. That would be a security blanket, but who knows what's going through the mind of the Celtics right now. Brad Stevens and, of course, Chisholm just purchasing the team could want to shed a lot of that luxury tax. That's all I've got to say on this topic there today. This has been your host, Joey Mercer. Make sure to go down below, like the video, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell for notifications so you can stay up to date with the NBA, and I'll see you all in the next video.